Section 12 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 2, Number 18, March 1921. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 2, Number 18, March 1921, by W. H. Fawcett. Smokehouse Poetry, Part 1. Lasca, the rhythmic tale of a girl of the Rio Grande, and the stampede pictured by Paul Desprez will lead the Smokehouse Poetry for April. With it also will be In Flanders Field by Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, which is being published after many requests. Colonel McCrae's simple song of tragedy was the Marseillaise of the Great World War. The author was a surgeon with the Canadian Expeditionary Forces and wrote the poem during the Battle of Ypres. The Shooting of Dan McGrew by Robert W. Service. A bunch of the boys were whooping it up in the Malamute saloon. The kid that tickled the music box was playing a jagtime tune. Back of the bar in a solo game sat Dangerous Dan McGrew, while watching his luck was the light of his love, the lady that was known as Lou. When out of the night which was 50 below, and into the din and the glare, there stumbled a miner fresh from the creeks, dog dirty and loaded for bear. He looked like a man with one foot in the grave, and scarcely the strength of a louse, as he tilted a poke of dust on the bar, and called for the drinks for the house. There was none could place the stranger's face, though we searched ourself for a clue, but we drank to his health, and the last to drink was Dangerous Dan McGrew. There are men that somehow just grip your eyes and hold them hard like a spell, and such was he, for he looked to me like a man who had lived in hell. With a face most hair and a glassy stare, like a dog whose day is done, as he watered the green stuff in his glass, and the drops fell one by one. Then I got to figuring who he was, and wondering what he'd do, when I turned, and there stood watching him was the lady who was known as Lou. The stranger's eyes wandered round the room, and seemed in a kind of a daze, till at last that old piano fell in the way of his wandering gaze. The ragtime kid was having a drink, there was no one else on the stool, and the stranger stumbled across the room and flopped down there like a fool. In a buckskin shirt that was glazed with dirt he sat, and I seen him sway. With a talon hand he clutched the keys. God, but that man could play. Were you ever out on the grate alone, when the night was awful clear, and the icy mountains held you in with a silence that you most could hear, with only the howl of a timber wolf as you camped out there in the cold, a half-dead thing in a stark-dead world, clean mad for the muck called gold? While high overhead, green, yellow, and red, the northern lights swept in bars, then you've a hunch what the music meant, hunger, nights, and the stars. Hunger not of the belly kind that's banished with bacon and beans, but the gnawing hunger of a lonely man for a home and all that it means. For a fireside far from the cares that are, four walls and a roof above, but oh so crammed full of cosy joy, and crowned with a woman's love. A woman dearer than all the world, and true as heaven is true. God, how ghastly she looks through her rouge, the lady who was known as Lou. The music almost died away, so soft that you scarce could hear, and you felt that your life had been looted of all that it once held dear. that someone had stolen the woman you loved, and her love was a devil's lie, and your guts were gone, and the best for you was to crawl away and die. 'Twas the crowning glory of a heart's despair, and it thrilled you through and through. I guess I'll make it a spread misere, said Dangerous Dan McGrew. The music almost died away, then off burst like a pent-up flood, and it seemed to say, repay, repay, and your eyes went blind with blood. And the thought came back like an ancient wrong, and it stung like a frozen lash, and the lust awoke to kill, and the music stopped with a flash. The stranger turned, and his eyes they burned in a most peculiar way. In a buckskin shirt that was glazed with dirt, he sat, and I seen him sway. Then his lips went in a kind of grin, and he spoke, and his voice was strong. And boys, he said, you don't know me, and none of you care a damn. But I want to state, and my words are straight, and I'll bet my poke they're true, that one of you is a hound of hell, and that one is Dan McGrew. Then I ducked my head, and the lights went out, and 2 guns blazed in the dark. Then the lights went up, and a woman screamed, and 2 men lay stiff and stark. Pitched on his head and pumped full of lead lay Dangerous Dan McGrew, while the man from the creeks lay crushed to the breast of the lady that was known as Lou. These are the simple facts of the case, and I guess I ought to know. They said that the stranger was crazed with hooch, and I'm not denying it's so. I'm not so wise as their lawyer guys, but strictly between us two, the woman that kissed him and pinched his poke was the lady that was known as Lou. My Little Homemade Bar. While the wintry wind is blowing, and it's hailing and it's snowing, folks will wonder how I manage to keep warm. If they only knew the reason why I always keep in season at my door an endless line would straightway form. Comes the summer hot and torrid, I don't swear it's blinking horrid, it's a time for joy and comfort, I declare. For in my lonely cellar is the cosiest rathskeller, that's my little homemade bar beneath the stair. Thus I scorn official blighters who'd regenerate booze fighters by arresting them and placing them in jail. Virtue can't be legislated into man degenerated, ancient rights can't be usurped, they will prevail. So I'm happy, hale and hearty, and sometimes put on a party of my own without a solitary care, where I spend such blissful hours in the fairest of all bowers, in my little homemade bar beneath the stair. I doubt if you don't. When the whiz-bang first made its debut into the world in 1919, we published the poem I Don't. Now steps up a contributor and offers an answer to it. Both of them have punch and pep, so we are offering these twin sisters of poetic mirth for your approval herewith. The Editor. I don't. Mama told me not to smoke. I don't. Nor listen to a naughty joke. I don't. They made it clear I must not wink at handsome men, nor even think about intoxicating drink. I don't. To dance and flirt is very wrong. I don't. While girls chase men, wine and song, I don't. I kiss no boys, not even one. I do not know how it is done. You wouldn't think I'd have much fun. I don't. In answer to the above. When a pair of red lips are upturned to your own, with none to gossip about it, do you pray for endurance and leave them alone? Well, maybe you do, but I doubt it. When a shy little hand you're permitted to seize, with a velvety softness about it, do you think you can drop it with never a squeeze? Well, maybe you do, but I doubt it. When a tapering waist is in reach of your arm, with a wonderful plumpness about it, do you argue the point twixt the good and the harm? Well, maybe you do, but I doubt it. End of section 12, read by Alan Mapstone.